What up, guys? It's Dr. Vic. You are tuning in to the Mindful Chiropractor podcast. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. It's been one heck of an amazing January and starting off to a great February. So I'm hoping you're feeling the same way here. One of the things I was thinking about and to share with you guys is to help your patients understand a little bit deeper of what chiropractic is. And in my office, in my practice, one of the things I really heavily focused on was the autonomic nervous system. It was one of the things that I thought was vital to having the patients understand things. I would do workshop orientations. I would have education system, retention systems, and all this built in to help them understand gas pedal, brake pedal, how the nervous system goes in protection, how it gets overwhelmed, and all these different aspects. And the reason why I did that was because it made it easier for me to explain and have them understand how stress plays a role in their life and how mental, emotional stress, physical, and chemical stressors can overwhelm the nervous system, fire up that gas pedal or that sympathetic nervous system, and that will start the cascade of protection effect. It's called the defense physiological response. And that defense physiological response, the more the body and the nervous system's in that state, the more breakdown, wear, and tear, because sympathetic nervous system is what's the breaking down mechanism of the body. And so when you think about that, and that's the catabolic part of the nervous system or the body, is the sympathetic nervous system. So I would utilize that to share that information to help them understand the process of subluxation, to have them understand the aspects of how does subluxation play a role on their vitality, how does it play a role on their organ health, how does it play a role on their overall well-being. And I could tailor this even into children, because then I would talk about their neurodevelopment stages and how the sympathetic nervous system does not allow the nervous system to develop as optimally as it should. Right? I'm sharing the words with you guys as how I share it with patients. And so what would happen is eventually, and I don't get it immediately, but eventually things would click in. And all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my goodness, I'm in gas pedal mode. And I'm like, why are you in gas pedal mode? Well, I've noticed I have my anxiousness is coming back. I notice I have a little bit of anxiety happening here. I have some racing thoughts. My digestive system hasn't been great. And I just be like, oh my God, that's thumbs up. It's thumbs up because they get it. They understand. So then I look at them and say, what do we have to do? Well, I know you've taught me this. I know you've taught me to how to, break the cycle a little bit, but I know I got to be very consistent with my care. I cannot miss at this point. How much do you want to have a patient saying that to you? And then I need to just stay settled, stay calm, and that's it. And is there anything else you would recommend for me outside of doing these things? And I look at them and say, what, let's just start there. Give it a couple weeks. We'll remeasure. Let's test. Let's see where we're at. And then if we need to adjust or modify, let's do that also. It was that simple. And I'm not saying all patients were like that. Trust me, not all were. And if any chiropractor ever says that to you, they're lying to you. So it's one of those things where I didn't have everybody do that. Some people were like, gas pedal, brake pedal, what? This just doesn't make sense. But some other people who were intrigued and interested and wanted to help improve their health, this resonated with them. And so I truly believe it's that, because looking at what we do as chiropractors, it's one of the things as we develop and build the parasympathetic nervous system, otherwise known as the brake pedal. So I like to explain it. And so when you think about that, what's part of the parasympathetic nervous system? What is the most dominant part of that? Vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is about 85, 90%, give or take, of the parasympathetics, right? Because you have the portion of it coming right off to the, through C1 through C4, branches out into the throat area, then all of a sudden it goes down to the heart, stomach, blah, 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 all the way down to the top of females' bladders and men's prostates. So when you think about that, it's a long, long cranial nerve. And so it has a lot of implications. Now we know, medical systems already know this. Medical doctors know this. All their research is going into vagus nerve and how they can control it. They can influence it, but then it gets out of whack. And so chiropractors are the only profession right now that I know of, that I've been researching, that can actually create the biggest changes in vagal tone, right? The polyvagal theory, if you've ever read that book, get out, go read Porges' work. Absolutely amazing stuff if you really want to understand the neurology behind this. And the reason why I'm challenging you as a chiropractor to do that is because once you grasp and teach your patients the ANS, then all of a sudden your education systems can build very easily off that. So like my whole entire orientation, which was about 25 minutes, that educated the patients to understand the basics of health. That's all it really was. It was shifting psychology, because as a chiropractor, our job is not to just educate. We do, most chiropractors just word vomit all over the place and throw up on their patients and report the findings, expecting them to get everything. I had the most minimal educational systems when it came in the beginning of day one, day two. My whole job was just to let them know they're in the right place, that I can help them, connect the dots to show them what I did that links to where they are, and then say, this is the process, here's the journey to help you get there. And let me show you, what would your life be if we get to the other end of that? And you can have that, not just short term, but even in the long term. How would that influence your life? How would that shift and how would that change? And how would that be a game changer, right? Simple, simplify things. We overcomplicate. Then I would tell them, they would have questions. Well, what does the scans mean here? What about the x-rays here? What about this? Don't worry about that. I have a whole education system for you. And the next, you're going to be here for a minimum of 3 times a week for 12 weeks. That's the way I did my care plans. And so in that process, you're going to see and have education systems built in throughout that whole period of time so you can learn a little bit at a time. And what I want you to do for me then, here's our agreement here, okay? I'm asking you to commit. You're committing into your health. I want you to have the best possible outcomes. And my best patients who get the best results are consistent and they ask a ton of questions. So my thing for you is this. You're going to watch the videos when they come through on your email. What I want you to do is, if you have any questions, bring them here to me in office or send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to help you with that. Right? And so what I want them to do is understand this is a growing process between both of us. And I want them to get to know me. I'm not just messing with their house. Yes, I ran an office that wasn't very at the same poke, and everyone's like, wow, you're very educational, this and that. I was always educational in my office because it's a vital part, I believe. But at the same token, I also had a lot of fun in my office. Joked around, had great conversations, connected with patients in many different ways because that's how I wanted to run my office. So everyone has their own view and their purpose in this. You have to know what your vision is, how you want to run your office, your mission, your purpose, and what you want to do as a chiropractor for people. And then you align yourself with that and be authentic. That's the big key here. But that's the kind of thing. And I just taught them gas pedal, brake pedal, gas pedal, brake pedal, gas pedal, brake pedal. What was an adjustment? Adjustment totally stops the gas pedal process and starts to build up more of that brake pedal so that we can go from gas pedal to brake pedal, gas pedal to brake all day long. And I had technology to back that up and so forth. And so those are things that I believe. And it's just my opinion. You can say, oh, this is a bunch of BS. So be it. It's your power and your tune to you. It all depends where you are and what you're focusing as a chiropractor. For me, my focus was family wellness long-term. I wanted to have wellness patients in my office. That's what I wanted to see. Heck, my goal was to see only wellness patients. That's where I wanted to get to. And so it's one of the things where, I educated to get patients to that point. And I've had many, many of my patients, 5, 7, 10 years. I was only in business for 10 years, 10, 7, 8, 9. I had multiples at 10 years. Plus, I've had some that were with me in the beginning and they stopped for like a year or two and then they came back and they were with me for 4 or 5 years. So it's one of those things where I built that rapport with my patients, connected with them, and really knew that, let them feel that we were family, and we treated them like family too. But I think the easiest thing is for any, if you're looking at long term, you want maintenance wellness patients, you want to build up your retention. I mean, because how would you like it that all your wellness patients cover all your bills, personal and business? That's monthly. Monthly. That's how I set that up in my office. Monthly. So then anyone that was coming in who was under active care and all that stuff, they were all the added bonuses on top. And so this is how you structure things. And this is what I work with clients on and helping them understand. This is how I'm able to double my clients' profits very easily by looking at different things. We don't have to do Facebook ads. We don't have to go out and do all these new systems. You don't have to. You pretty much already have everything you need. And I'll be sharing a post on social media soon here, but since we're on the podcast, I'll share this. 2 calls. One was really all I needed, but we did 2. So she's a coaching client, but it's one of the things where on the first call, we look through all the business process. So when I do is someone joins coaching with me, I do something, a jumpstart call. And that's just getting to know the business, where you're at, what you're doing, what's ups and downs, how you operate things, what's your systems, what's all the things in place. And then from there, I take that data. And so I gave her a little bit of some information, and right off that little bit of information helped her grow her profits by 128% within 1 month. Now, how did I know that? It was only 1 call. Well, the second follow-up, I said, how was the implementation process, right? Beautiful. She did exactly what I said. All of a sudden, she started to notice that what I said was going to be possible was happening, right? Month in, 128% profits. 128% profits in 1 month. We solved 2 problems that she did not even know existed. So it's again, just looking at what is needed, makes that simple twists and shifts. And that's what I do as a chiropractor, working as a business coach, working with chiropractors. So if that sounds like something you want to gain, something you want to have, look at the show notes, click all the way at the bottom, click that link, and let's have a conversation. And let's make that happen for you. But I think, honestly, the biggest thing you can do, in my opinion, is if you focus on the ANS, there's a lot of research that supports it. There's a lot of research that shows how we affect that, right? You look at The University of Chicago study with blood pressure, right? They used blood pressure meds, two of them, and then they did chiropractic adjustment, and I believe it was a C1 adjustment. And all of a sudden, within a certain period of time, I think the average decrease was 17 millimeters, a milligram, of millimeters of mercury pressure. And it's one of those things where, um, 17, right? Well, what did that? Parasympathetic. Well, how do we know? Well, C1 has a huge influence on the vagus nerve, right? And so it's one of those things. Again, now look at, we know that there's other studies that show from a HRV, heart rate variability perspective, of how much we can influence and change the heart rate variability, how much we can improve parasympathetic activity just from one adjustment. So the studies are out there. So this is why I love doing that, because then what I do is I educate my patients on what it is to have a sympathetic gas pedal dominance world. What does that look like when your nervous system's stuck in there? And I walk through all the processes to educate on how that looks like that. And then what do I do on top of that? I talk about all the diseases that can lead to. And I let them make the decision when I show them what the top 10 deaths are in the world. And then I say, or in the United States, and I'll look and they'll say, now, how many of these did I talk about prior to? I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. If this is your first time tuning in, please check that button, click subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. We do them every week here. And if it's something that has inspired you, or you thought, wow, this is great information, I got to share this with a colleague, please pay it forward so we can help inspire chiropractors to really be the leaders in healthcare and so much more. Greatly appreciate y'all. Until then, have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you guys all next week.